Alright, hi, my name is Bryce Butler, and this is my video for Sprint 2. Um, so, yeah, here's my stuff. This is my centipede segment, which is going to be the base class for all the different centipede segments, so the head and the body. It just has constructors, some game object stuff, collision, a get and set pose. So the set next pose, I was thinking, would be, it would just get the position of the segment in front of it and then return it and set it, but then after the discussion in class yesterday, I don't think that will work, so I just didn't delete it, I suppose. Then here's my pose and my speed, texture, and my field, my mushroom field. So my head extends it, and same stuff. Then I have two methods to clear. It's called clear stack, but it should be clear Q because they're Q's. And then to compute my rotation pose. And so I have a boolean is free, so if the head is by itself, not attached to a body. A frame counter for updating the frame or the animation. A dir x and a dir y that are added to the position every frame or every update. And so if dir x is positive, it moves to the right. If it's negative, it moves to the left. Dir y isn't actually in use right now. And then I have a look ahead offset, which changes depending on what direction you're going. So it'll either be negative 16 or positive 16, so like the cell in front or the cell behind. Then I have my struct, my rotation position that has a position and a rotation and a constructor. Then I have a step count and a step counter. I don't remember if I actually used the step counter because I had it for something. But my step count is how many steps it'll take to get to the next cell. So the grid's cell width divided by speed. And I have 3 Qs. I have my rote pose, which is actually used to apply the turn, then a precompiled left turn, and a precompiled right turn. So on the left of the screen and on the right of the screen. An integer is turning, which I'll show you what that uses. And a start pose, which isn't actually used right now. Then in my head, I have my constructors, which set everything. So my clear stack, which would be clear Q, goes through all of my Qs and just empties them. And then my compute, I go through and I set my rotation to be my index over the step count times 180, so a fraction, and then I apply it to the Q, and the same with the other side, but the other direction. So yeah, kind of just to undo. And then in my update, I update the animation. And then my pose x is my direction x times my speed times my is turning. And my pose.y is my dir y times speed. So if my step counter is greater than or equal to my step count, so if it gets to that many steps, then my look ahead offset equals my direction times 16. And then I check to see if it's occupied, by my position X plus my look ahead offset, and then my position dot Y. And then right now it automatically moves down to the next row, but I don't know why it works. It's just with the rotation it actually looks perfectly fine. And so if I'm moving right before I turn around, my rote pose is equals my precompiled right, and then I set the origin so the rotation looks better, and then if it's moving left, I set my precomp to, or so I set it to my precomp left, and then I set my origin again so it looks smooth. Then I change my direction. I set is turning to 0 so it stops actually moving right or left. And then if there's nothing ahead, then my is turning equals 1 and my direction Y equals 0, so it is allowed to move right and left but not up and down. And then my step counter equals 0, and then down here it's plus plus. So then I have an if not rote pose empty, then I set my rotation to that, and then I pop it, and then I draw, destroy, collision stuff. So I guess I'll just run it to show you. So the one in front is moving at speed of 4, and the ones up top are moving at a speed of 2. Right now it's really slow because of my video capture system, but there you go. When I destroy a centipede, they create mushrooms. They spawn mushrooms where they die. Then I have auto fire actually working. That's another thing. And it still only spawns 1 bullet at a time. I did all of my factories. I have a bullet factory. Nothing really different. Yeah, I have to have this here if I'm auto firing, which is a boolean, then create another bullet, because if it's anywhere else, the stack of bullets is will end up at 2 at some point if you're shooting like a mushroom that's directly in front of you, because I was calling create bullet at the destroy method of the bullet, but because there's a slight time delay between actually the bullet being destroyed and the next bullet being created, it would create a new instance of the bullet, so there would be cycling through 2 bullets, and if it was really close there would be 2 bullets on the screen at a time, which was doing like a super auto fire thing. So this is to prevent that and to have only 1 bullet ever be in the stack. The reason I have a stack and not just a single bullet is in case the game designer wants more than 1 bullet to be on this screen at a time. Then, I mean, it's really not that hard anyway, so whatever. Then I have my mushroom factory. Yeah, it takes the mushroom field in a position and creates a mushroom. So, yeah. While I was frustrated with the centipede, I worked some more on the flea. So now my flea actually spawns mushrooms behind it. So yeah, there's that. Let's see, flea. I basically did the same thing as I did in my mushroom field for the generation chance. Um, so it basically just gets a random value, and if it's less than gen chance, create the mushroom at that position. But actually, in my mushroom field, I added a few methods. I created a create mushroom at, which I call when a centipede segment is destroyed, and also in the flea. So it takes a position X and a position Y in pixel coordinates and converts them to grid coordinates. And then, so if it's not the last row and the grid space isn't already occupied, create a mushroom at that position, decalling my factory, and increase the count. And I have an is occupied, which takes a pixel X and a pixel Y, converts to grid, and if it's not off screen, or wait, if it is off screen and it does not equal null, so if it is occupied or it's off screen and return true, else return false. So those are the two methods I added there. I really don't know if like this will work for the centipede, the movement method, because just looking at it, it looks perfectly fine, but I feel like it's hacked together, and not entirely using what we talked about in class, because I couldn't figure out what you meant by a precompiled position. I got the precompiled rotation, but not the position. So right now, the problem that I was having, let me see if I can recreate it real quick. Centipede head. And not this. Okay. So what it would do is when it would be, so it would turn around, but see, it doesn't go down to the next row, but it perceives itself on that row, even though it's not visibly on that row. So let me, when you get down a little further, you'll see what I mean. So it's on the row behind it, so it'll collide with that mushroom, and now it'll collide with this mushroom, but I don't know, it was just like a really weird error that I was getting, and I fixed it kind of by changing where the origin was. So with this, when it's going left and collides with the mushroom, it will go around the mushroom instead of going in front of it. And it also does this jumping up thing. So I don't know. To fix that error, I thought it might be my dir-y thing, because now it's just going down at my speed, and then the dir-y changes back to 0 once I'm at the next grid. But then if I changed it to just literally jump to the next cell, then it works like perfectly fine, visibly. And I don't know if this is good or bad, or if there's a more efficient way to do it, or an actual way we wanted it to be done. I'm still completely like lost, and I got this just by random happenstance. So yeah.